Hi Elms. So for English today, which is Monday, we are starting a new genre and we are now going to go and focus on poems. So we're going to be looking through different types of poems and we're going to be trying to find different vocabulary in the poems, how to retrieve information from a poem, the sequence excuse me, of a poem, and how to explain things about a poem. So these are all your Viper skills that we try to use when we're reading. So if we can remember that we have got the V in Viper stands for vocabulary. So that's when we're looking at the different types of vocabulary that you'll see in the text. The the I is for inference, and this is when you're looking for clues in the text about how someone might be feeling or why something is happening. The P is for, prediction. So that's when you can predict what you think might happen. And the E is for the explanation, so you explaining what's going on in that text and what you think about it. R is for retrieval, so you're retrieving the text, so that's usually when you get questions on it, so that you have to answer those questions. And the S is for the sequencing. So this first lesson, we're going to be thinking about the vocabulary, like we did with the newspaper report, but this time with a poem. So we're going to be looking for tier 2 words again, which means that it's words that you're not used to or you might not know what they mean. So we're going to look through a poem which is called Blast Off, and it's all about a rocket going to the moon. So there might be some vocabulary in this poem that we're not quite sure about. And then when you look through it, you're going to try and look for at least 3 words that are a bit unfamiliar to you, what you're not sure on. So our poem is Blast Off. The rocket hums quietly. The engines now roar. So already we've got the word hums. Some people might not be sure on what hums means, so we'll jot that down. Hums. Okay. Thinking about poems as well and how you read them, it's not always the same as how you would read some texts. You tend to change your voice and how the poem goes. So the rocket hums quietly, the engines now roar, they check all the buttons, the seats and the door. Mission Control starts the final countdown. TVs are turned on all over the town. For a moment it's quiet, then whoosh, they are gone. The ground shrinks behind them. The engine powers on. Onwards and upwards through the clouds they now go. Houses and buildings left far down below. So there's another word that we might not be sure about, which is onwards. What might onwards mean? Don't know. So we'll jot that one down. And you might have noticed something else what's happening in the poem as we go on. If I just read a bit more. They look out of the windows as darkness comes near. The earth looks so tiny, there's nothing to fear. The roar has now gone, it is quiet instead. A helmet sits tightly on an astronaut's head. So if you notice, some of the words are actually rhyming as we go through the poem. So we had near and fear, and instead and head. So carry on. The planets fly by them, the colours so bright. Saturn and Jupiter shine in the night. Ruby red Mars now comes into view. A quick trip to Venus and Uranus too. The stars twinkle brightly, still so far away. Maybe a rocket will reach them one day. Returning to Earth, journey's over for now. Sights so fantastic, you can only say, wow. Okay, so there we've got, I've chosen some words which is hums and onwards, and then obviously you can think of, there might be some more for you, so you jot those down in a list first, and then your next task is to try and put these words into your own sentence. So probably have a dictionary as well and have a look at these words to find out what they mean, and then also think about a conjunction that you can use to make your sentence giving more information and more interesting to the reader. So if I try and use one for hums, so I had a look earlier and found out that hums is when it's a noise that something or someone makes. So if something's humming along, so that means that the rocket was humming quietly. So we could have the train hums along the track. So now I could use a conjunction. So thinking about those conjunctions we know, so we know because, if, so, when, and, but. Which one might fit my sentence correctly? The train hums along the track and travels very, we'll have slowly because it's humming along, it's not speeding along. Okay, so then looking at my sentence, I could even improve it by adding some adjectives, because I could describe the train as well. So I'm thinking if it's like a steam train, they're usually quite magnificent. So the magnificent train hums along let's describe the track. So it could be a dusty track, or it could be an old track. Let's have, what could we say? Hums along the dusty metal track. So we've got a noun phrase there. The magnificent train hums along the dusty metal track and travels very slowly. So we've got our and as a conjunction. So you have got to find, your bronze challenge is finding those 3 words that you're unsure of in the poem and then putting them in a sentence. So it's a short, simple sentence. Then silver challenge is to find those 3 words, put them into a sentence and add a conjunction as well to make it a longer sentence. And gold, you're going to find at least 5 words. So the gold challenge is finding those extra 2 words and putting them in a sentence with a conjunction. Okay, so the poem, I'm going to put the poem into your English folder on Purple Mash. And then you're going to write in your English books. So you'll need to put today's date, which is Monday the 11th of May 2020. Your WALT, you're going to write to develop our understanding and use of Tier 2 vocabulary. Okay, so that should be written in your books as well first, and then list your 3 words or 5 words at the top, and then underneath, that's when you do your 3 sentences, or your 5 if you're doing the gold challenge. Okay, off you go.